Alexa, stop.
All right, family. Glad to be back with you. I hope you've been having a fantastic week. It has been a okay, good. Sound is working like it's supposed to. My table a little bit closer. Yeah. I think I'm gonna move my mic too, so I got some more space. But hope you've been having a great week. It's been a good week for me. I'm extra crunk. I got my ukulele over here. That got me excited. It's your first time joining. This is Soul Swami. Hold on, man. I thought I cut the volume down somewhere. Okay. Hey, Liberty. I appreciate you. Um, Again, if it's your first time joining the Soul Swami Thursday Night Book Club, where we just kind of read some books and take the opportunity to reconnect with the child in us. It's a spinoff of our Tuesday night show, which revolves around healing, and Thursday night was an activity that allows us to reconnect with our child. Cause what kid don't really like being read to? That's where that come from. You can catch us every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Except when I'm traveling. When I'm traveling, it gets wild. But I'm more likely to skip a show when I'm on the road. But for the most part, man, you can catch us every Tuesday and Thursday. You can count on it. And if you miss me, there are 218 videos that you can watch on the YouTube, and YouTube is there for you. Yeah, you see it, right? Listen, I don't know. You can see one of the screens look different. Well, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Um, 1 second, man. I gotta turn on some. I need my fan going. Give me a second. All right, yeah. Now we back in business. Yeah, so I'm excited about that ukulele too. I gotta show you too. But I told you last week that it wasn't messed up. I guess I was just tuning it wrong, right? So then when I found that I was tuning it wrong, I tuned one string till it popped. So I had to get some new strings. And the new strings, I've learned a lot about ukulele, and I assume it's the same thing for guitar strings. But so I can tell you 100% that these are better strings than what I had. I got some, I don't know, low low G strings. So low G is just a lower. So basically my bass will be a little deeper than the other one, just the plain the normal string. The normal string sound more like a fiddle to me, and this is leaning more towards guitar sound. So, and it is literally so you have more of a guitar sound on your bass, right? So I'm crunk about that, and I found out another thing that they actually do. So as a matter of fact, I got smart because I knew I wasn't gonna be tying them all crazy. So I got ball end strings. So one end is just a ball. So I don't got to tie it on the bottom. I don't know if you can see. Right. Yeah, so that's good enough. And then the G string is actually metal. You might be able to hear some ASMR like I heard Sasquatch. So that is actually metal, right? It is interesting because I seen somebody in the comments complaining like they got the wrong the wrong chords. They be like they ordered black. So my other ones that I popped were like fishing line, whatever that is, clear, translucent, white, whatever you want to call them. And these are black, so I got black, and then the G chord, the bass is supposed to be it's a gold and it's metal. You know what? I ain't even put that together till you said it. It is the G string. Do 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 ding. Pun intended. Hey, listen. It's Thursday night. We supposed to be childish on Thursday night. This is where we supposed to reconnect with our child. So you know, I'm about to be childish too. So I already had a little tuner. And if you got a tune an instrument, you get a little instrument like this. I mean, that is a electric tuner. And no doubt I use it. That's how I know that my bowls are set to the correct frequency. Cause I just drop this in the bowl and ooh, hit the bowl, and then it'll tell me what note it's on. So you literally just click it on the end and you turn it on. So the top one is supposed to be G, the G string. Yeah, you be a little childish, but it's all right. Then the one up under that is C. And then I'm supposed to have E. And when you got it right, it'll just light up green. And then the bottom was A. Liberty, can you hear that? Because it sounds loud to me. That's the other thing. The new strings are a lot better quality because just the sound of it has gotten so much louder. I mean, ridiculous. That's my song I made up, Liberty. You heard that? So I haven't got past this part. So you can tell, yeah, I know, right? It sounds like I know what I'm doing, but I don't. So that's why I still mess up a little bit. But nah, listen, I just been freestyling. But those strings are so much better. So I hadn't gotten past. I gotta tell you, hold on, I gotta play it again. Hold on, I messed up there. That's as far as I got, right? So right there, I just start back over. Hey. Oh, word. I ain't know you had to watch it with me too. So listen. So you know I've been having the time of my life with my ukulele. So I ain't got past that. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But listen, I feel like I'm balling because I promise I don't know what I'm doing. I listen. Only thing I remember from when I last tried to learn was the C chord. That's about it. But I want to play like, and then I'm gonna get me. I decided because this really does with these strings, it really does give like honky tonk. I don't know if you used to watch wrestling, but they had a wrestler called the honky tonk, but it's giving honky tonk. Like I need to boot scoot with this one. And I don't always want to give honky tonk. So don't break my heart, my achy breaky heart. That honky tonk. I'm not trying to give honky tonk all the time for real. So I seen a dude with a little electric one. So I'm gonna get the electric one too. Even though this one is electric and I can plug it in. Like I said, I just don't want honky tonk all the time. Forgive me. Nah. I done said honky tonk 14 times, man, because listen, that's just a funny word. And I remember honky tonk man. And whenever I think of honky tonk, I immediately think of the achy breaky. And I forgot his name. Hey, stop! Thanks for stopping by, Sarah. I appreciate you. It's Thursday night, so we just reading tonight. Okay, so I also forgot to tell you we are continuing on our we are on the throat chakra. So that's why the color for that is light blue. So if you're trying to do some light therapy, make sure you have some light blue lights. Your throat, this energy point right here in your throat resides in your neck. It is good for your authenticity. So you can live true to who you are. It is good for your communication, how well you are heard, and how well you hear people. And it's good for your expression. Hence me playing my honky tonk, my honky tonk guitar. I mean, my honky tonk ukulele. Listen, this is funny about the ukulele too. I ain't tell you this. It's not only I can plug it in, but it does come with battery thing where I could adjust the bass on it, which is funny. I couldn't tell the difference, but I'm gonna put a new battery in there now because maybe with these new strings I could tell the difference. Um, Let me see. Sarah, I'll be talking to a lot of people on TikTok. That's where most of the people talk. Sometimes Twitch will show up too. So boot, scoot, and boogie. You heard it right. Sometimes Twitch will show up too, but on Thursday nights I can't talk to Twitch because I don't see them. But I do see Facebook and I do see TikTok. So back. If you want some sense that's good for your communication, you having trouble with your expression, if you having trouble with your truth, that's what the throat is. The throat is the center for your truth. Some good smells for that is chamomile, or you can do some peppermint, cypress, and bergamot. I don't have my turquoise ring on. If you like stones, turquoise is good for communication. Aquamarine, lapis lazuli. I want to get that. I keep dragging my feet about it. And blue lace agate. Right? So the element is ether. And for that, we did a little visualization where we shape it. I hope you like my my honky tonk song. Now we're gonna roll into the bowl. All right, family. Oh man, I can't wait. I'm gonna buy some more bowls. Dang. I'm trying to remember. I'm going to be in Winston Salem this week at Saturday from 3 to 6. We'll be giving away some Reiki. Um, it is at the MC Suites in Winston Salem, and I swear I cannot remember the name of the event to save my life. Give me a second. I'm gonna look it up. See if I can find it out. It is the Family Child Care and Center Enrichment Foundation is having a The Body Heals with Play, the Mind Heals with Laughter, and the Spirit Heals with Joy annual conference, renewing the mind, body, and soul. The Family Child Care Center Enrichment Foundation in Winston-Salem at the MC Suites. I think it's an all-day event. We will be giving away Reiki from 3 to 6, so you can catch me in Winston-Salem from 3 to 6. And after that, I'll be somewhere. But if you'd like to catch me on your own, you just send me an inbox, send me a message, and we can schedule some energy readings or Reiki, whatever you like to have. I am available. So now at this point, we generally do our breathing exercise. We did 4-4-4 on Tuesday. I feel like 4-7-8 today. 4-7-8 is a good exercise to calm you down, and to ground yourself and to reconnect to where you are. It is, you breathe in for a 4 count, you hold for a 7 count, and then you breathe out for an 8 count. But while we're doing this activity, you don't have to worry about the count. All you have to do is be in a comfortable space, and I will keep the count for you. All right? So on the count of 3, we will begin with our 4 count. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last time, family. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Release 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hey, Liberty. I know. I guess the like means you back. I was like, let me find out Soul Swami. Soul Swami got to do something for the kids, and we play ukulele, ukulele Wednesdays. and I just play a ton of made up songs. Kids don't care if you make it up or not, long as it's lit. I promise you, I still sing this one list rent free in my head that I used to sing. Oh my God, you got me sidetracked. Good afternoon to you. It's good to see you, boys and girls. Good afternoon to you. And I liked it because it taught them how to say hello in a bunch of different hola, hola. It's good to see you again. Bonjour. We learned to say hello in several different languages. So that's one of my favorite, but we're going to do Ukulele Wednesdays. Wait till I get the electric one. Then we're going to be on and popping. All right, family. So for the visualization, we are doing ether. And ether is an invisible element, but something that is around us every day. So I want you to imagine yourself in a space, a void-like space, where there's nothing there but you. The space can be a white space. The space can be a black space. The space can be a light blue space. The space can be any color that you can imagine, as this is always an exercise of your imagination, right? So now you picture yourself in that voided space, and I want you to put your hands out in front of you, together like I'm. And as you have your hands together, I want you to rub them together and start pulling them apart. But keep that rubbing motion as though you are shaping a ball. And as you are shaping that, I want you to envision some piece of your reality that you would like for your future self, your healed self, your stable self to have a whole lot of. I want you to shape that in your hand, whether it be love, whether it be finances, whether it be stability, authenticity, expression, passion. Just shape it in your hands. And after you shape it for a little bit of while, I want you to throw it into that void and allow it to take shape. And in your hand, I want you to shape another energy that you know you need a lot of. And you shape it, and you throw it into that void and allow it to take shape. And begin to create the space and the world that you envision for yourself. Continue with that process. And as you continue shaping and designing and creating the world that you need, that is authentic to you, that is your truth, I want you to repeat these affirmations after me. I speak and hear truth. I communicate honestly. I live an authentic life. I am fearless and free. I trust what I have to say. I speak and hear truth. I communicate honestly. I live an authentic life. I am fearless and free. And I trust what I have to say. All right, family. Those are affirmations that you can say for yourself when your communication, when you want to get your throat back, and you want to get your expression back in alignment, you want to be able to communicate your truth, and you want your authenticity. That is something fantastic. Nah, right. I bet she would be my number one supporter. Let me find out. You might need to get her a little uke so then we can have a concert together. She can play with me because we can learn together. I'm like, look, girl, I'm making it up. And the bad thing is, I'm gonna have to practice on remembering because um my music knowledge is, which is funny because I learned how to read music when I was a kid, but it's definitely one of those things. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So my reading music skills is leave something to be desired. So tell her, come on now, we can free. Okay, listen. Let me go ahead and tell you because I thought about getting the one from Five Below too, but I know we use those Five Below ones in the classroom, and the quality of the classroom one ain't worth it. So I'd go ahead and get her one off of Amazon or go to the Guitar Center when they have a sale. They'll have some good ukuleles in there, right? Um, what is it? Tenor, soprano, and concert. So I got a concert. Concert is the biggest. I think it's, I don't know how many inches, but they normally, so get her uh soprano one. They normally like 13 inches or something. They around the same size as the one you see in Five Below. But you can get you one about $30, $40. And it's whether if she gonna play with it, better get her one, then you can get her some strings and she can play some good music. Um yeah, 'cause those classroom instruments, questionable. They almost got me too when I was looking for it. I was like, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna be a little bougie, but I'm glad I did. So I would say do that too. All right. So we're at the point where my boy is out of jail. He only did look like what, 2.5, 3 years of his 12-year sentence after them boys robbed, what was it they robbed? Liberty McDonald's. And yeah. All right. Let's get this party started, family. The house was completely quiet when I walked in. There was no one there but my mother and me. She left me to my thoughts during the emotional ride from St. Bride's. When we entered the living room, she broke the silence to try to lighten the heaviness of those fragile first moments home. Well, boy, you finally made it out of that place. Yeah, Ma, I made it out. I kept walking to the back of the house. I could hardly talk. It was too risky. Talking would bring on another tearful breakdown. I needed to be alone. I dropped my belongings in my old bedroom, went into the bathroom, and ran a hot water bath into the tub. Had nearly been 3 years since I've been allowed to take a bath. In all that time, it had been showers, always showers, in a large tiled room with 10 or more nozzles and as many loud, funky hard heads moving about. Now I can close the bathroom door and shut out the world. I could lock it and nobody would care. I climbed in the tub and sank down low, and the water crept up to my chin. With eyes closed, I sat there soaking, thinking, taking in the profound pleasure of it all. I tried my new reality on for size in 100 different ways. Home. I'm actually home. Okay, pause. Um, yeah, so the concert one is the biggest one. And to give you some context, because this don't, you seen me in person. So that give you some context. It ain't, it's from my hip to the middle of my shin. So it's the longest one. I was being bougie. Oh shoot, I'm over here messing up. But yeah, I think the smallest one is the soprano. Don't give me the line. And then the mess around and be the tenor. Oh, okay, hold on. I done lost what page we on trying to show you about. I'm not blaming you for sure at all. But yeah, I mean, if she played with it, I'd go ahead and invest in one because it'll last. All you gotta do is just change the strings. Home. I'm actually home. They let me out. I made parole. If I want, I can get up now and walk out that front door and nobody will care. I can walk down the street and around the corner, won't get written up. I can go to the store. I can talk on the phone. I can ride a bus. I'm home. It felt surreal, like an out of body experience. Like maybe I was daydreaming it from a cell in the C3 building at Southampton and might be awakened any minute by the sound of jangling keys or chattering inmates. But all I heard was the deep quiet of the house and the occasional soothing ripple of warm water splashing against my skin, flapping against the side of the tub. In those first few weeks, I wore the consciousness of my new freedom like an overcoat. While riding a bus or walking through a crowded mall, it would dawn on me. I just got out of prison. I did 3 years and now I'm out. I never said it to people, but it felt I felt it in every interaction and thought about it at the oddest times, especially when learning new things and relearning old things. There were readjustments to make. Being around elderly people, children, and dogs, walking through the aisles of a grocery store, seeing all those beautiful, wonderful women walking around free and accessible. Several times I tested my freedom to verify it. I got out of bed late at night and walked through the Cavalier Manor just because I could. No guards came running, no whistles blew, no bells sounded, nothing. It was real. I was home. Thanks for joining TikTok. Join us. We're doing Thursday Night Book Club. For a long time, everything felt alien, like one of those movies where a person is frozen in a block of ice, and when it thaws, he discovers he's in the same place but in a different time. It seemed that I was moving about in a different pace than the rest of the world. Like for 3 years, the world had been speeding ahead while I stood still. The first time I went through a checkout line at Earl's Supermarket on Victory Boulevard, the clerk passed my items over a computerized scanner, which I had never seen. I was fascinated. It made me feel like I'd been locked away 100 years. The first time I stepped out into traffic, it scared me to death. It had never occurred to me before that you had to unconsciously think to gauge and measure the speed of oncoming cars before crossing the street. Of course, the fashion changes were constant reminders of how long I'd been gone. The platform shoes, bell bottom pants in my closet just wouldn't cut it. Mama gave me some money and I bought a pair of soft, thin heel shoes and blue flare leg denims. I wore them until they nearly fell off. I knew I was seriously out of it when I ran across Slick. Walking down Cavalier Boulevard, I saw him across the ditch, pimping in the opposite direction toward the 7-Eleven. Slick was a little lightweight chump when I left the street. Now his frame had filled out and he was strutting hard like an old head. I yelled across the ditch to him and threw up my clenched fist in the black power salute. Slick raised his hand similarly, but flashed a different sign. Two of his three middle fingers were tucked under like a partial fist, and the pinky and index fingers stood up like antlers on a deer. After flashing that sign, Slick turned and bopped away. Later, I demonstrated the sign to my brother Dwight and asked, "What does it mean?" He said, "Oh, that's the P-Funk sign." P-Funk? You know, Parliament Funkadelic. Parliament Funkadelic was the hottest new black music group on the scene. I'd heard a few of their tunes on the radio at St. Bride's, but still wasn't fully hip. Dwight showed me a picture of the group and the album cover. They looked wild and crazy, like a black rock group. I thought, damn, when I left the streets, people were doing the Black Panther salute. Now they flashing the P-Funk sign. These niggas gone crazy. There were also tense moments that taught me how much I had really been affected emotionally by the whole prison deal. Shortly after I got my license renewed, I was driving my stepfather's Mercury Comet down Portsmouth Boulevard when the sound of a siren pierced the air. It was the shrill, urgent sound of trouble coming from behind. I panicked. I wheeled the car off the main street onto a side road and pulled over to the curb. I sat there horrified, waiting for them to come after me, my heart pounding like crazy. The sirens grew louder and louder, getting closer and closer. When it seemed that they were right up on me, I looked in my rearview mirror in time to see a police car zoom past, its red lights flashing. Then they were gone. I took a deep breath, exhaled, and bowed my head. Why had I been so shaken? I hadn't done anything wrong. I wasn't speeding. Then it stuck me. The last time red lights flashed me down, I wound up doing time. In my head, we were leaving the McDonald's all over again. Oh, it was McDonald's too. I thought I made that up, Liberty. I ain't even lying. So they robbed the McDonald's. I thought I was just talking crazy. Well, just talking loosely, not crazy. I was driving this time and the cops were coming from everywhere, preparing to surround the car and close in for the bus. I leaned my forehead on the steering wheel a few minutes, thinking about how scared I felt that night and at this moment. I sat there until I was sure everything was all right. When my heartbeat slowed, I started the car and drove off. Not much had changed with the family since I left, except for Bampoose, who was frail and sickly. I went to visit her in the senior citizens complex across town, where she'd moved after living in Norfolk for a while. Junie was still away in the Army. Billy was married and still living in New York. My mother was concerned that Dwight, who had been drifting in and out of jobs around Portsmouth since he got out of the Army, was dabbling heavy in the drugs. He and a strung-out lady friend were busted in Jeffrey Wilson public housing projects with some works in the car. He was placed on probation. After all the problems Dwight and I had given my parents, they clamped down hard on my youngest brother, Brian. 9 years younger than me, he was almost out of high school, and my parents barely let him leave the street without permission or go out after dark. Unlike Dwight and me, Brian didn't know diddly squat about the streets. My parents tightened the reins on him so much that my friends joked that if you took him to another side of Cavalier Manor and left him, he wouldn't know how to find his way back home. I called Liz to make arrangements to see Monroe. Thanks for the love, always. Parts of me wanted to see her too, to see if maybe we could rekindle our thing. I talked to Liz before leaving the house, but when I made the 15-minute walk to her family's place, it was her mother whom answered the door. Liz was gone, she said. I got the message. Monroe was sitting in the living room floor, playing with toys. I went in and talked with him, trying to relate with him as best I could, but it felt awkward, trying to make conversation with a 5-year-old. Besides, there was still no strong paternal connection. I've been away from him for more than half of his life. My affection for him felt forced. I could tell he didn't feel connected to me either. He seemed to regard me no more differently than he did my brothers. After that visit, I went past the 7-Eleven to check out the scene. Shane and a lot of old heads were there, hanging around the store, sharing the spot along the wall with some new faces I didn't recognize. Many were my peers' baby brothers, younger and brawny. They had that teenage cockiness about them that was once my style. The guys at the store filled me in everybody and gave me the latest scoop on Scooby D. He was married with a few children, and ain't that crazy? That's crazy. The dude that was a terror in the street, he was married with a few children. And they said, working at the shipyard. I couldn't imagine Scoob working for somebody, least of all the white man. Working for somebody meant you had to take orders, but he had to eat and feed his family like everyone else. So he had to work and take orders, no matter how bad he was. Even though he was mellowing, Scoob, with that flaming red hair and limp wrist, was still the baddest cat in Cavalier Manor. Shane told me Scoot had recently effed up Frank Wolford for pissing him off. Scoot had gotten into a beef with Frank at the basketball court behind Waters Junior High. Tall and dark, Frank was a basketball purist who cared less about rumbling than about popping the nets clean with a sweet outside jumper from the top of the key. He loved playing street ball, and he knew the game from way back when. Scoob got mad because Frank was checking him too tight. When Scoob started crying foul, Frank held his ground, trying to save face. Just like always, Scoob left to get his gun. When he saw Scoob return with his piece in hand, Frank made a break for the fence, which was more than 75 yards away, but he wasn't fast enough. Scoob cocked the trigger, took aim, and fired, striking Frank in the back in full view of everybody on the basketball court. Frank was taken to the hospital. He lived, and to everybody's surprise, pressed charges against Scoob. Frank lost the case. What? Although there had been hundreds of dudes at the basketball court that day, nobody dared go to trial to back up his story. So Scoob walked and added another notch to his rep. The whole thing blew Frank's mind. Shank said the last time he seen Frank, that nigga was riding a Huffy bike with a balloon tires through Cavalier Manor delivering newspapers. He had a nappy afro and was mumbling to himself. He's fucked up in the head now. Shane gave me the lowdown on all the fellas from around our way, including himself. He'd been in and out of jail on lightweight bids. Nutbrain and Charlie Gregg were around, he said, but they've been low-key since they got out of joint. Most of the others, including Shell Shock, Lap, Frog, Dicky, and Bimbo, were unemployed or working at the shipyard. Shane said the drug game was changing. You can't even get a good four-finger OZ no more. A half an ounce costs you $35. That's crazy. After we talked a while, Shane looked me up and down as if noticing me for the first time. So, my man, what's up with you? Not much, man. I'm trying to find a job until I can start college. That's cool. You want to go to Broadway Club with me Friday night? I paused before answering. That was the challenge I knew would come up, to hang with the fellas or not to hang. I wanted to stay away from the old spots. I knew the gang would want to hang, get high, and do some crazy shit for old time's sake, but I didn't want to get into any of that. At the same time, I didn't want the fellas to say I changed. On the streets, they treat it like nothing bad if you hang with them, then change and start doing something different. They get a complex and start thinking that maybe you think you better than them. If I didn't hang, I knew that somebody would say that about me. I knew how Shane would run it down to some of the others. Yo, man, that nigga done changed. He taking proper using big words and shit. Nigga done gone off to the penitentiary and got grand on us. He think he too good to hang with his boys. But I couldn't be too concerned about what anybody said. I had grown. I wanted to keep moving ahead in life and not to even think about falling back into the old groove that once had my head so messed up. So I turned down Shane's offer. Then there was a strange silence. There was nothing else to talk about. When we both realized that, we split. Actually, I didn't know where to go or what to do for fun. Beyond the things I used to do, I kept a low profile. Yvette, the school friend who visited me in prison, became my haven. A dark-skinned, brown-eyed beauty with prominent cheekbones and an infectious smile. Yvette told me she had a crush on me in high school, but stayed away after I hooked up with Liz because she thought I preferred res bones. I've since learned from a lot of dark-skinned sisters that they had complexes about their complexions when they were young. Yvette and I spent a lot of time together talking in my parents' den. She sought refuge in me from her mother, who cussed her out whenever they disagreed. I saw refuge in her because I'd given up my old life and had nothing else to replace it with. Interesting. Interesting reason to find refuge in her, which is kind of wild because he had nothing else. I was grateful for her being there, but Besides her, there was no one else to talk to. No one as stimulating as some of the brothers I'd met in the joint. I was sure there were many intelligent, progressive people out there somewhere, but I had no idea where they were or how to find them. It was weird, and I felt lonely. Deal with it. All right. My parole officer was a cockeyed young white guy with a big watermelon head and thin, stringy hair that he combed to one side of his head all the way across the top to cover the bald spot. He had the comb over. Right away, I resented him. I resented the whole notion of being on parole. I felt I'd paid my debt to society or whoever the hell felt they were owed, and that the state and the slate should be squeaky clean. During our first meeting, my PO lectured me about what I could and couldn't do. It was humiliating, and it made me feel like a child. I had to report to him once a month. I couldn't own a firearm. I couldn't vote. I couldn't travel outside the immediate area without his written permission. Finally, putting on his best stern faced look, he added, and you're not to associate with other ex felons. I wanted to slap my knee and laugh in that white man's face. I wanted to say, motherfucker, you may as well send me to the desert to live because half the N words in Portsmouth are ex felons. But I didn't say it. I kept quiet and nodded my head, signaling that I understood. Right away, my PO pressured me to find a job. He said I'd have to report to him weekly until I got employed. That was incentive enough to get the hustling. The problem was he also told me that I was required by law to tell the truth on job applications. If they asked, I had to tell them I was a convicted felon. I hit the streets hard, starting with applications to area print shops. Armed with my offset printing and lithography certificate, I went in the feeling confident that I could talk knowledgeably about any phase of the printing process, and I did. At one point, a print shop in Norfolk was set to bring me on. They had openings. The interview went extremely well. The fleshy faced shop supervisor was smiling at me big time. You'll like it here. You'll do just fine. Then, as I sat there, he scanned my application. His big blue eyes stopped near the bottom, the section where it asked, have you been convicted of a felony? I had put yes in that section. The supervisor looked at me, turned the application away, and pointed at that section and said, what's this about? Well, I was convicted of armed robbery and served 3 years. I'm out on parole. I heard the words as if they'd been spoken by someone else. The supervisor played it off like it was no big deal. Then he went into that, well, I'll call you mode and walked me to the door. I knew it was over. I knew I'd never hear from him again, and I didn't. Several times I missed out on plum printing jobs like that one that I really wanted all. It seemed because I came clean about my record and didn't make me feel good about telling the truth, especially the white folks. Most blacks understood that a brother can with a rap sheet is commonplace, like being circumcised, but white folks take that shit to heart. They don't understand and they don't forgive. Job hunting is expensive. The little money I'd saved from working in the prison had gone in no time. I had to rely on my parents for bus fare. My pride wouldn't let me ask them for much. I walked wherever I could, but most places I went were not within walking distance. The frustration of going door to door to businesses in Norfolk and Portsmouth brought to mind a line about job hunting in the rendition of Inner City Blues by Gil Scott Heron. Walk a big hole in a brand new pair of shoes, and you've got your first look of those inner city blues. I know. Listen, one of my favorite poets is Gil Scott Heron too. What's that? Home is where the hatred is. That's it. And a rat done bit my sister Nell. Whitey on the moon. Her face and arms begin to swell, and White is on the moon. Talking on 125th Street, great album. Every time I filled out an application and ran across that section about felony convictions, it made me feel sick inside. I felt like getting up and walking out on the spot. What was the use? I knew what they were going to do. No white folks would hire me. It was bad enough that I was black. A black man with a felony record didn't stand a chance, no matter how many trade certificates or degrees he had. Hey, I know that's right. I knew you'd feel me when I said that, Gil Scott. I do like Pieces of a Man too, but in that Pieces of a Man, he just doing more singing. But and talking on 125th Street, he do that. He just do that. The only one I think he's sing is that Home is Where the Hatred Is. The thing that irritated me most was everywhere I went, seeing white folks were always asking if they could help me. Every time I walked into a store or into a building, white people rushed up to me before I could get in the door good and asked, "May I help you?" They look at me like I was a germ, like they thought I was there to steal something or stick up the place. "May I help you?" They always said it loud enough to make other people stop and stare. I knew the deal. That was their way of alerting everybody else. That was their way of announcing, "Beware, there's a black man in here." It still pisses me off now when white people. Listen, which is wild because I don't really know. I don't know a period where he wasn't on drugs. Talking about Gil Scott Heron. So I just assume he did all that stuff. Well, you can tell because later on when he starts singing, he was like, "Bro, you gotta take a breather." But yeah, but that home is where the hatred is just so, and it might not be such a bad idea if I never went home again. It was funny. I talked to Skip the other day, and I told him he was asking me about my job or whatever, concerned if I'm being affected by this federal stuff. And I told him, I was like, "Bro, I done already prayed about that. I done put the energy in the atmosphere because I can't go home. Home is not an option." So where we at now? Okay. Beware, there's a black man in here. It still pisses me off now when white folks rush up to me and ask, "May I help you?" Hell, they were doing everything in their power to hold me back. When they asked if they could help me back then, I wanted to cuss them out. I wanted to say, "Yeah, motherfucker, you can help me. Help me get a job." Seeing how frustrated I was getting, my parents suggested that I get away for a while. So I went to Washington, D.C. to job hunt. There I lived with the family of one of my father's old Navy buddies. I wandered around downtown D.C. applying for jobs at print shops and other places. It felt refreshing being in a city where nobody knew me. In D.C., I didn't have a street image to contend with. I had a clean slate, but that comfort didn't last long. After a few weeks, I ran out of money and had to return home and start the job search there again. Over time, the frustration worsened. My PO kept bugging me. I stayed broke all the time. There was nothing to give Liz for child support. Every now and then, she'd make some sarcastic remark about me not doing anything for my son. For a while, I stopped going around to see Monroe because I was so ashamed that I had no money. I couldn't even afford to take Yvette to see a movie. With no money, no car, no apartment, I began to feel like less of a man. Like I was a grown child depending on my parents. My self-esteem started to slip. Every day I got more uptight and madder at the world. One day, while driving my stepfather's car, I pulled into a drive-in window of Burger King on the boulevard and ordered, "Give me a fish sandwich, fries, and a shake." The server, a white man who appeared to be in his mid-20s, hurried and took the order, handed me the food, and shut the window. I needed more change. I waited as the server spoke on the intercom, apparently taking orders from other customers driving in behind me. Noticing I was still there waiting, he frowned and opened the window to see what I wanted. I could tell he was annoyed. I asked, "Could you give me change for a 10, please?" Without saying a word, the clerk clucked his tongue in disgust, snatched the $10 bill from my hand, and slammed the window shut. After changing the bill from the cash register, he opened the window, all but threw the money back at me. Quarters dropped in my hand and landed in my lap. The clerk rolled his eyes and slammed the window shut again and waited for me to leave. That's that, I don't even know where. Burger King, you can't have it your way, I guess. That old fire. The fire I used to feel all the time before I went to prison resurfaced, and blood rushed hot in my head. Before I knew it, I sped the car away, the drive-through window, and wheeled into a nearby parking space. I jumped out the car and bolted through the front door to Burger King and leaped onto the front counter. All the nerves in my body had readied for battle. Just as I was about to start swinging legs across the counter, a black store manager stepped forward and held his hand aloft, almost pleadingly. "Be cool, brother. Be cool." Those few words, spoken in a soft, sincere tone, suggested that he understood, were enough for me to stop long enough to reconsider my actions. I got off the counter and stood there breathing heavily. Customers and other Burger King employees stopped and stared. The white server, his eyes wide, stood back behind the manager. I glared into his eyes and felt the hatred seething into my soul. I wanted him bad. I wanted him bad enough to risk 30 days in jail. By then, I was feeling that I could get across that counter and reach that white boy. I would try to knock his teeth through the back of his head. I'd punch him in his face and slam his head against the ice cream machine that never works, so hard that he'd have nightmares about me the rest of his life. Looking at the manager, I pointed at the white boy and said, "You better teach that punk how to treat people." Then I turned and stormed out the store. What's that? Let me see where we at. Okay, we'll finish this chapter. Yeah, I read somewhere that 85% of inmates return to prison within 5 years of being released. Just about all the guys I knew had gotten out were returning so fast it seemed that they had been home on furlough rather than parole. Bonaparte stuck up a restaurant and was wounded during the shootout with the law. Another dude went back on an armed robbery beef shortly after he got out. I heard Pearly Blue died in prison of hepatitis. Jim, who was living about 90 miles away in Richmond, was the only person who seemed to be doing all right for himself. He'd found a job and used the money he'd embezzled from Southampton to buy a small house and a brand new sports car. I knew I had to work hard to reach the 5 year mark, and yet, as the harshness of the outside world started to take a toll, fears began dancing around my head. Doubt seeped in. All that spiritual and philosophical principles I had studied in prison seemed to go out the window when contended with the reality of the white man's world. Oddly, there were times when I actually missed the solitude and security of prison. For 3 years, I had hardly to deal with racism. It hadn't mattered whether or not white people gave me a job. I was guaranteed to work in prison. And I had no place to eat and sleep. I had a place to eat and sleep, 3 hots in the cot. I wondered if. Okay, hold on. Excuse me, family. I cut off my tablet. I wondered if Bone and some of the other guys who had gone back had subconsciously found ways to get busted because things got too heavy for them out in the world. I wondered if I might mess around and do the same. I read about the power of the subconscious and I believed it was true. I figured that if I went back to the joint for anything, It would be for going off on some white person for insulting me. But there was always the possibility of getting busted on the humble, being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I was determined not to let anything like that happen. But every now and then, I wondered about it and got uptight and started thinking that it might just happen if I didn't get a better grip. One night while driving my stepfather's car, I stopped at a convenience store. It was located on a small deserted street. It was late and there was only one attendant in the store. When I browsed, he went to the back room to get something. When I went to the counter, I noted there's no one else in here, no customers, no cameras. When the clerk returned, I made my purchase and went back to the car. I climbed in and sat there for a moment thinking. I looked up and down the street and there was no one in sight. I thought I could take this place by myself. I could stick my hand in my coat like I got a gun and take this place. I've been doing that a lot lately. I'd enter stores and case them and assess my chances of being able to pull off another job. Just one job, no more. All I needed was some funds to tide me over till I could find work. Just this one time. Every person who ever did time can tell you that they did wrong to get caught. Tell you what they did wrong to get caught. Everyone feels that all he has to do is rectify that one mental error and he's on his way. I knew what had gone wrong in the McDonald's stick up. I hadn't planned carefully. I knew I could do it right this time. I sat there for a long while, struggling inside my head. It was a real rumble between right and wrong. It was a struggle that, on the surface, didn't make sense. An internal battle that should not have even been taking place in light of all I had suffered and learned from prison. And yet, there I was, thinking about making another hit. Sitting there in the car, I thought my plan through like a chess match. I envisioned the job step by step and mapped out my getaway route. Again, thanks for joining. Show some love. Tap the screen. Doo-doo-doo. Then I thought about something else. I remembered that I had something that most cats coming out the joint did not. I had supportive parents. I thought about my mother and stepfather who had suffered through 3 years of hell with me from start to finish. I thought about how hard they pulled for me since I've gotten out. They gave me money. I had a place to lay my head. They let me use their car. They cared about me. They cared about me. I couldn't let them down. I thought about something else too. The lessons about perseverance I learned in the joint. I learned about the strength of the mind and seeing that mental toughness more than brawn determines who survives and who buckles. When I left prison, I knew I was armed with a different kind of weapon than I had to rely on before going in. I had knowledge. Oh, nah, you all good? Do you? I know you listening. So we done had a great night. So I'm talking about. I'm trying to get the new people active too, because you do your part, Liberty. Do 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 do. I started the car and drove away. Oh, that was it. Boop boop boop. So perfect time. I guess he starts college. Boo at Norfolk State next week. So I mean, next chapter, no chapter 25. Yeah, I think that I say that adjustment to society does subconsciously send a lot of them back. And then some of them people who did a long time, like I got a cousin. I swear the only reason why he kept going back because he had a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever they want to call him in prison. And in prison, his lifestyle could be accepted. And outside of it, he would be too worried that his family and friends wouldn't be able to accept him, right? So I know that's a real reason too. But anyway, family, I hope you enjoyed. We'll start next chapter again. He's gonna be at Norfolk State. Glad he's out of prison. Glad we only did that one chapter. I'm getting adjusted. I hope you enjoyed my ukulele. There we go. Hope to see you next. I hope you have a great weekend. Really, I'm gonna be playing the ukulele. I need to really do some plant stuff. But if we don't, hope to catch you next Tuesday. I think we're still doing Tues of thank you, tell justice, gratitude. Much gratitude, right? And then tell her I'm trying to talk you into getting her the upgraded version, right? So Tuesday night we will continue. We're doing tools of forgiveness, and yeah, we've been doing prompts, right? So we're doing prompts for forgiveness, but we're still working on our tools of forgiveness and tools for letting go. If you can't make it Tuesday, I hope to see you back here again next Thursday for another episode of Book Club. Have a fantastic week, end and start of your week. And again, so family, I appreciate you. I value you. And until next time, people, peace.